Hello, good evening everyone. This is Chirjin E. Espana. Today I am going to critique or analyze the story of The Last Lift by O. Henry. But before that, let me share with you my learning objectives. At the end of the discussion, the student should be able to first, know the story of The Last Lift. Second, discover the literary elements of the story. And the third one, give insight about what you have learned in the story. Now, let me borrow your ears because I use simple techniques in order for you to understand the story. Are you ready? Let's go! About the author. William Sidney Porter, better known by his pen name O. Henry, was an American writer known primarily for his short stories, the non-fiction, that he used irony and humor in his stories. He often includes his narratives with surprise endings or twists. Two of his remarkable works are The Last Lift and The Gift of the Magi. In addition, he also wrote poetry. About the book, The Last Lift was first published in 1907 in his first collection. When it comes to its genre, it is a short story and realistic fiction. Now, let's proceed to the story itself. The subject matter. What was the story all about? The Last Lift is all about an artist, Johnsy, who gets pneumonia and believes she will die when the last leaf falls from the tree outside her window. However, Berman, the downstairs neighbor, goes out into the winter storm and paints a lift, sacrificing himself so that Johnsy will not see the last leaf fall. Alright, how about the characters of the story? So here I have the protagonist. So Sue is an artist from California who shares an apartment with a woman named Johnsy. So in other words, Sue was the great friend of Johnsy. Now we have the Johnsy. Johnsy is the main character. She is an emerging artist and wants to paint the Bay of Naples but becomes ill and suffers from pneumonia. But I can say that she is the antagonist itself because she is stubborn. Everybody wants her to get well, but instead of helping herself, she gives up her hope and thinks that she will die soon. The next one, another character is Berman or Mr. Berman. Okay, so Berman is an old man living downstairs in the same building in which Johnsy and Sue are living. He is a failure in art and wants to paint a masterpiece but is unable to paint it for years. Though he cannot paint, he still has the hope to paint it one day. He has a character who inspires Johnsy to start living again. He is optimistic and his hopefulness at last leads him to paint his masterpiece. The next one, another character is the Doctor. Though the Doctor is a minor character in the story, but he has an important role in Johnsy's recovery from pneumonia. He is kind towards Johnsy and wants her to get well from pneumonia. He encourages Sue to take care of Johnsy and make her to think positivity. He advises Sue to guide Johnsy toward positivity and bring back her life. Now, the last one character is Mr. Pneumonia. So here, the story has another character or the non-living character, which is, in fact, it is abstract. So the narrator has stated that Pneumonia as a gentleman who enters the city, touches people with his icy fingers, and makes them ill. Mr. Pneumonia is not a good person. He victimizes every weak person. Many his victims die soon after the illness. Let's proceed to our sequence of events. The first one is our exposition. There are two girls named Sue and Jency, live in a squatty in the little district of Greenwich Village in Washington Squares. It is a home to a community of an artist. Jency soon falls ill with pneumonia, and the doctor tells Sue that Jency will probably not survive because she has no longer to live. The doctor warns Sue that Jency's condition is deteriorating and that Sue needs to help her. So again, the Bay of Naples, this is what Jency's lifelong dream. But the doctor advises that Sue talk to her about the new winter clothes and suggests that to have an interest in a man might help give Jency a will to survive. Let's proceed to the rising action. Jency wants to die because there is a tree outside her window wherein she believes that when the last leaf falls on, she will die during a bad storm that happened through the night. Sue went to talk to Mr. Berman about Jency's ailment. For the climax, Jency doesn't want to try to get better, so when the last leaf falls off the ivy vein, she says that she will go with it. Sue goes to talk to Mr. Berman about posing her drawing. Jency is asleep and Sue working on painting Berman. A winter storm hits and it begins to blow and rain outside. But Sue keeps the curtain drawn. Following action, in the morning, Jency wakes up and tells Sue to open the curtain. One leaf is still on the tree. She was happy and realized she wanted to live, just like the one leaf despite the storm. Mr. Berman falls weak with pneumonia after painting his masterpiece for Jency and Sue. A janitor found him unconscious and freezing. For the resolution, the doctor comes and says that Jency is improving and her chances of surviving are good. He also tells Sue that Berman caught pneumonia and is struggling to survive in the hospital. He passes after 2 days. Sue tells Jency, who is much better. She explains to Jency that Berman had gotten sick because he went outside in the winter storm and painted a lift on the wall behind the tree. So Jency would never see the last leaf fall. So that was the ending of the story. Now let's proceed to our literary devices. The first one is simile. So we all know that simile is a figure of speech involving the comparison of one thing with another thing. So it uses the word like, as, or like. So the example for the simile in the story is, she was afraid that Jency would indeed sail down like the lift. So this sentence shows that Sue fears for Jency, who is ill and has lost hope for getting well. Sue is afraid that her negativity will kill her. Now let's proceed to the personification. We all know that personification is the attribution of human qualities to something non-human. So here the story, O. Henry personifies pneumonia, naming it Mr. Pneumonia. It talks about the disease like it is an evil sentient being. So here, Mr. Pneumonia was not a nice old gentleman. A nice old gentleman would not hurt a weak little woman from California. But Mr. Pneumonia touches Jency with his cold fingers. This personification acts to intensify the reader's dislikes for pneumonia by turning it into a conscious force. The detection of the disease as a man who takes advantage of the young woman can also be interpreted from feminist perspective. The last leaf is ironic because Johnsy believed she will die when the last leaf falls. The last leaf falls and she does not die because Berman painted a leaf for her to see. He, however, does die. Now let's have our imagery. Imagery is a literary devices used in poetry, novels, and other writing that uses vivid description that appeals to a reader's senses to create an image or idea in their head. Okay, for example, the skeleton branches clang. So this is one of the example of visual imagery. When Sue noticed Johnsy counting to herself while starting out of the window, Sue looks out of the window herself. She cannot fathom what Johnsy is counting. In this example of visual imagery, Henry insert the fragile ivy vein around which the entire story revolves. For the last is our moral of the story. So there are three. First one is the friendship. Sue's friendships and sincerity lead Johnsy to regain her lost hope. Sue takes good care of her friend Johnsy. Even the doctor appreciates her care for Johnsy and tells her that it's because of her that Johnsy is feeling better. This proves the statement that a friend in need is a friend indeed. The second one is sacrifices. So Berman sacrifices his life for giving hope to Johnsy. He knows that Johnsy thinks she will die the moment when the last leaf of the ivy vein falls. So he paints the leaf on the wall, which gives hope to Johnsy, and she realized that she should not lose hope. This act of Berman leads her to think positivity because our thinking leads our action and defines our abilities. And the last one is never lost hope. So Berman, who is unable to paint his masterpiece for 25 years, remember that Berman is a failure in art, right? So here, he does not lose hope. He stays firm in his struggle and at last able to act upon his dreams. After spending a cold night outside, he paints his masterpiece though he catches pneumonia and dies. His death comes after the accomplishment of his dream. This example of a strong hope shows that a person should not lose hope though the situation may be unfavorable. People might discourage you, but a person should not lose hope. So that would be all. I hope you learned something from my topic and thank you so much.